Is there anything you hate more in video games than when you have to like walk alongside an NPC and they have a slightly different walking speed from you? Whereas like either you walk a little bit faster than them so you have to stop at times, or they walk a little bit faster so occasionally you have to like run to keep up with them.
I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan of that. I think there's worse things probably, but I'm most definitely not a fan.
I think the last time I had that happen was maybe like Outriders, which is like a pretty new game. You'd think they'd have figured that out by now. Whereas like, please just have the NPC match your walking speed.
I know. I remember there was a quest in World of Warcraft, like the vanilla one, where in the Ungoro crater, you ran into, I think it was a goblin or something actually. And it kept fainting because it was so hot. So it was an escort quest where you had to spritz water onto the goblin whenever it fainted, but it was also walking slowly behind you. So then you'd have to constantly like turn around and look like, is it still there? And goblins are really small, and the stupid crater has a lot of like huge flowers as well. Just like bushes. And it's just the worst. That stupid goblin, I swear.
Do you think they did that on purpose just for padding to make the quest like take longer?
Man, maybe they just hate their players.
Who knows? I think Blizzard is gonna be its own episode, to be honest.
Yeah. The weird thing is, I knew about the quest, and it's like you can just skip it, right?
You did it anyway?
Yeah, but I just kept doing it on every character anyway.
But is it like, if you don't skip it, it's just like always going to be there in your quest log, or what?
No, you can remove it from your quest log, it's fine.
Oh, because like, I don't know, how many... Can you be a completionist in World of Warcraft to the point where it's like, I have done every quest in the game, or are there millions?
There's not millions, and I mean, I don't know about the current state of the game, right? I have no idea. I haven't played in many, many years. I'm gonna say it's like you can probably do most quests. It's just it's pointless because you stop getting XP eventually as you level away from them. So,
and I guess it's such an old game, so it's like mostly fetch quests and collect 5 rat tails or whatever, because that's how you made quests back in those days. Yeah, because that's how I do when I play like RPGs and whatever. It's like how I play The Witcher as well. I enter a new area, I clean out every possible quest that exists in that area, and then I move on to the next one. It took me a while when playing Witcher 3 to realize that like that's not actually how you're supposed to play that game.
No.
It's better to just go from area to area and just fill up your quest log with 1 million quests, and then you can just work on completing all of them at the same time, which is sort of like more how you're supposed to play that game. But that's not how I want to play the game.
Immersion breaking.
It's like Skyrim. I enter a new town, it's like, give me all of the quests in this town, and now I shall complete all of the quests in this town before I go to the next one.
Not how I play Skyrim at all. Speaking of, actually, because Skyrim has something or someone that we wish to discuss today.
Well, I mean, Skyrim has both good and bad in this area.
We're talking about companions, followers, sidekicks.
Yes, and Skyrim, I think, is known for having like both one of the best and one of the worst ones in the same game.
I mean, it's kind of like the meme of Lydia.
And sworn to carry your burden.
But the thing is, like, I don't actually hate Lydia because of it, because I actually think they did something interesting there. It's like, it's almost like, you know, poking fun at the player.
Right.
She's like...
She doesn't want to be your companion.
She's like, I just have to be your fetch idiot, right? I mean, I think it was an interesting choice that they made her basically the first companion.
She's the first companion
most people will get.
Yeah, she's the first companion for most players. And other companions in the game were actually sort of like harder to find. So for a long time you're running with Lydia because you aren't offered any other easily attainable like companion options.
It's not strictly speaking true, right? Because becoming a Thane will always give you a follower, and pretty much all of the other ones are just kind of boring, as opposed to Lydia's bitchiness. Let's call it that. There's all these other, you can actually get another follower even earlier than Lydia's if you just go to what's the town called? When you go from Hellion to Whiterun, you go through this place called what is it, Riverwood or something?
Riverrun? I don't know.
And there is like two guys fighting over a girl, and it's a pretty quick quest, and if you complete it, the one of them is available as a follower. Yeah.
Didn't know that.
So that's technically possible, but to a new player who's just gonna follow what the quest log says, kind of, they're just gonna walk past that, I think.
But it's interesting that Skyrim doesn't really have any notable followers besides Serana, and then besides Lydia and then Serana,
who is my favorite,
who is a DLC follower.
Yeah, but I beeline for her typically.
And she's voiced by what's her name? Jaina Proudmoore. I'm gonna look
Laura
up.
Bailey?
Laura Bailey.
Yeah.
Yes. So a good voice actor as well.
I like hanging out with her. She comments favorably on entering like cool places, right? She occasionally complains about the weather or the sun specifically because she's a vampire. But yeah, I like her. She has a pleasant voice to listen to. So.
But it's weird because Skyrim excels in so many other areas, and then like just followers, it doesn't really have a lot of notable ones.
It's a bit weird because Bethesda puts a lot more love into their followers and companions for the Fallout games typically than they put for Skyrim.
If you just look at like Fallout New Vegas, all of them basically are memorable. Maybe not the droids, I don't know, but like the cyborg dog, that's even a notable one.
Rex, yeah.
Raoul the Ghoul, he's cool. Boone is cool. Arcade is cool. It's like, and they all have these kind of like cool quests, and they have, you know what makes Boone really cool is that you get a different gameplay experience if you use him as your follower.
You're kind of locked into NCR.
You are, but the whole point is like the first time I played Fallout New Vegas, I really liked Boone, so I picked Boone as my follower, and yeah, he talks about how much he hates Caesar's Legion. But then it was like, as soon as we saw them walking on the roads, open roads or whatever, they became hostile. And it's like, okay, we're fighting against each other. And we played through the entire game, just always being hostile to Caesar's Legion, and it's like shoot on sight. And later on, when it's like, oh, I actually get to go and meet Caesar's camp. Ooh, it's the first time that I get to actually like chat with Caesar's Legion. And I didn't like realize until way, way later that it's like, oh, that's just because I have Boone as my party member, and he hates the Legion so much that he attacks them on sight always. I have missed out on being able to talk to so many of these people, and they're not supposed to be hostile on sight. I just assumed that they were like any monster or any Deathclaw or Rad Scorpion or whatever. And then it's like, you know what? In a way, I feel a bit miffed that I might have missed out on like dialogue and lore and maybe even quests and things. But also, it's, it just...
You probably weren't gonna hang out or side with them, though.
No,
they're awful.
They are awful, but it's still, it's like it. Here's like, depending on which companion you pick, you're gonna get a different narrative for the game, and the game doesn't tell you in advance that that's gonna be the case, which is sort of interesting.
Now, I don't want to like toot Bethesda's horn too much on that one though, because they weren't actually the ones that made the game.
I know. It's a different studio or whatever.
I guess it's also noticeable that the best Fallout companions are in the game that Bethesda themselves didn't make. But Fallout 3 had very notable like characters and companions as well. So
it's like Fox is, I guess, the most well-known one.
It's been so long that I don't remember.
Fox
if you ask me
super
about
mutant.
Characters from Fallout 3, I mostly remember Three Dog, to be honest, but he's not a follower.
No, and Fox, he's known because of the idiocy of the ending, right?
I don't know.
Where you have to sacrifice yourself by walking into an irradiated chamber to get the Gek running, right? And if you have Fox in your party, people are like, it's a super mutant. He's immune to radiation.
You could send him.
He wouldn't be affected at all. Why do you have to sacrifice yourself when it's completely pointless, when he exists? So they actually... people thought it was such a big plot hole that they actually had to patch the game and add as an option that you can send in Fox and you don't have to sacrifice yourself, but he will berate you for being a little pussy-ass bitch coward by not sacrificing yourself for the greater good. Which is super weird, because why would you do that if you don't have to?
Why would you die a pointless death?
Yeah, and he's like, a real hero would have done it themselves. It's like... What the fuck, Fox? That's like,
okay.
That was just salty writers who were forced to put this in because too many people were complaining about the obvious plot hole.
Man, I don't remember it at all. It's been.
It wasn't in the vanilla game, so that depends on when you played Fallout 3. If you played it right when it came out, that wasn't an option.
No, I didn't. I most certainly didn't. I mean, like Skyrim followers, if we go for the actual gameplay versus their character themselves, they're just all of them are kind of in the way a bit.
I was gonna say, I don't feel like they add that much to your gameplay experience.
Well, they add something that you can add via mods as well, which is carry capacity. You can just give them all of the fucking silver daggers that you
to carry your burdens.
Exactly, and that's what I like about her, actually, that it's like it's kind of referential and poking fun.
That she's just a glorified pack mule.
And what most people use companions for, so it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't like hanging out with her because she gets on your nerves pretty fast, but I do appreciate the joke.
Do you think that's like good to have like a separate inventory for your companion so that you can just dump stuff on your companion?
I mean, I guess it's meant to incentivize you to actually walk around with a companion.
Right, so you benefit from it in the gameplay.
Yeah, because it's like the problem with companions in Skyrim obviously is that everyone plays as a stealth archer, and
they don't help with that.
No. They're more of a hindrance with the whole stealth thing.
But you can't tell them to like also stealth and like not engage with enemies before you do, or what?
Yeah, but it's like do not. I don't know. It's just very clunky.
Yeah, because
like then you tell them to hang back, but then you forget about them, and then you're like, where did I leave them? It's not like I told them to go home, and they're just like, oh.
The first time that I played Skyrim, I actually. I told Lydia to guard my house, and then I was like, you know what? I actually prefer to play this game without having a follower with me.
Yeah, it's like I said, I grab Serana, and I do most things with her eventually. Once I'm high level enough with my smithing and all of that, I use two-handed weapons or something, at which point it's fine to have her there just for the company and the, but yeah, for stealth archering, it's not great. That's just, I guess they're there for flavor more than utility.
It's optional. Like not all games have an optional follower. In some games, like you're forced to bring them along, and it's just going to be part of the core gameplay experience. And I think that's where it really matters if you like nail it down or not. Is it like consensus that like Elizabeth from BioShock Infinite might be like people's favorite follower? At least it was for a long time, but a lot of games have come out since then. But like I know when BioShock Infinite came out, that the game was praised for having a follower who was not annoying gameplay-wise.
Yeah, she wasn't annoying, she didn't get in your way, she also can't die.
She gave you ammo mid-fight, just threw ammo at you. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked her. She was a well-made companion.
Yeah, and also designed to be a Disney princess.
That too.
Did you know that she is responsible for the innovation of computer-animated porn?
I did, yes.
Not everyone knows that. So all of you Overwatch porn enjoyers out there looking at your porn gifs of Overwatch characters, you have BioShock Infinite to thank for that, because like I'm not sure it started with Gary's mod. It might have been, but like I do know that people, like when that game came out, people were like so thirsty for her, and people were scouring the internet for Elizabeth porn, and a lot of innovations in like just being able to customize and mod your own sort of like computer animated porn sequences or whatever were created because of people trying to make better Elizabeth porn, because damn, that's something people were really after back then. Which is interesting if you think of the fact that you when you play that game, Booker and Elizabeth have like this very like obvious sort of like father-daughter relationship with each other.
I was gonna go there. I was gonna say like just, ugh.
Where were you gonna go with that? What are you gonna say about that?
No, it's just, don't people feel...
You don't have to self-insert. You don't have to imagine yourself being Booker DeWitt. You can...
Well, no, but it still feels kind of incestuous. But then I realized that that's also kind of popular in porn. This like...
Oh, yeah.
The not actual incest, but like the hint of it, sort of.
What are you doing, stepladder?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So I realized that me saying "don't people realize that it is kind of incestuous" was
oh yeah, they do.
They do, and that's what draws into it. I see.
Yeah. That's the main attraction.
That's so weird.
But all things considered, Elizabeth, fantastic companion. But she is not like controllable, right? No. She's just hanging out in the background, and you don't have to worry about her, because that's like that sucks when you have to keep a companion alive, right? And they can die. That's
Can Atreyu die?
Atreyu, I was gonna go to that. I don't think so. I mean, maybe he can like temporarily go down. I don't remember. It's been so long since played God of War. I'm not sure that he can.
But for the most part, he looks like a good companion.
He's an excellent companion, and you can't directly control him, but you can give inputs and tell him to do things. You can be like,
right.
Hey...
You can be like, boy,
shoot arrow at that thing. And for the longest time when I played God of War, I didn't. I was very basic in my fighting stuff, and I was just smashing people with my axe and doing Kratos things. And I sort of thought that I treated Atreyu like an afterthought, because I was so used to companions being sort of useless or just there for flavor or just barely noticeable. If you remember playing like Diablo 2.
I do.
That you could like hire some sort of mercenaries to be your companions and walk around, and they're sort of like mostly useless.
Yeah.
Same in like Warframe, if you get like a sentinel to just float around behind you, it's mostly useless. It just gives you more sort of like pickup radius. And like I think that's my image that I had of Atreyu as well, that he's gonna be like, okay, he's there. You can tell him to do some cutesy little things, but it doesn't matter all that much or whatever. And like, boy, was I wrong. It's like when I started actively using Atreyu in combat, I'm like, oh, I just unlocked a new tier of power. It's like he's actually genuinely super useful in combat, and I was stupid for not incorporating him in my fighting style. And I think, I'm not sure if I'm unique in that regard. I think a lot of people probably did that and just had that assumption that followers are just sort of like Fallout followers, where like they're there, but you don't, like, they don't affect things all that much, right?
I don't know, honestly. Fallout New Vegas, if you bring along like Boone or something, he just clears house.
Oh, yeah.
So...
yeah.
It kind of depends on who you bring.
Kind of depends on who you bring. You're right. Boone... But Boone comes with a price if you bring him. You're going to be in a lot more fights than you would have been otherwise.
I suppose.
But yes. But Atreyu is actually genuinely powerful and super helpful. And it's cool as well because it adds another layer of complexity to the combat, where suddenly you have more inputs and you have more choices and more things you can do in any given moment. Which makes for a more fun gameplay experience. So he actively adds to the enjoyment of the game, which works because it is an action game. So like having fun and engaging combat gameplay is like super important for that game.
Yeah. That is a very well-made, well-rounded companion, like required for the story and all of that. So I think they wove that in beautifully. Now in the sequel, which we haven't played yet, but I guess he's a bit overzealous with giving you hints to solve the puzzles.
Yeah, they talked about that. We haven't played the game yet, but he gives you puzzle hints. For puzzle rooms, because God of War also has like platforming and puzzles, and people have been saying that like, oh, you enter a room like 5 seconds. That's like how long you have to solve the puzzle for yourself, because before Atreyu just straight up tells you what the solution is. That's overtuned, but I think you can turn it off.
Okay.
I think you can turn it off so that he doesn't help you with puzzles. But if you have it on, you just simply, you do not get to solve the puzzle by yourself.
All right, but then good that you can turn it off. I have to say, like, as much as I love the Sunbow Solaire.
Are we counting summons in Dark Souls as being a companion or a follower?
I guess
is there a difference between like NPC summons and player summons?
Well, of course there's a difference. I guess only in the most loosest sense, and I won't go into too much detail. It's just honestly, I'm bringing it up, or my mind went there when you were saying, like, well-made AI, controls well, doesn't get in the way. It's like, I love the Sunbro, so for lore reasons, or just for fun for me, I always summon him when I can. Not necessarily because I need the help, but because I just like having him around, right? So I always summon him for the 3 fights where you can summon him, and one of them is obviously Smogan Ornstein.
Then it's the
so dumb.
Is it the gargoyles and the centipede?
Oh, there's 4 fights actually. Yeah, it's
gargoyles, centipede demon, and Gwyn.
Yeah. The thing is, right, in Anorlando, when you summon him like halfway up the stairs.
Yes.
And this stupid AI, I don't know why they made it that way, but it's like, honestly, you cannot prevent that idiot from, instead of walking down the stairs in the direction
he jumps
of the
off the cliff and take a bit of damage.
He jumps and he takes a bit of damage. It's like, why did they make it that way?
I don't... He's just beelining. It's the fastest...
It's not. It's going in the wrong direction.
Oh.
It's like... Here's the summon sign.
Yeah.
There's the boss door. This is where he jumps.
Now Anna is using her fingers to point, and
obviously
all you listeners
for Nick.
Yeah.
For the benefit of Nick, but for the benefit of the listeners, you just have to trust me.
In general, like the AI summons in Dark Souls, like they're useful, but they're not, like, obviously not as competent as a player.
No.
Because they can't be, because then they just run in and, like, gank every boss.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of a balancing act to, like, how stupid do we make the AI summons so that the boss fight is still challenging, even if you bring a friend?
Yeah, I know, but it's like, I wish I feel like, I mean, okay, this is unfair because this is like the oldest Dark Souls game as well, so there's probably no point to rag on that. But I think like there's needlessly stupid, and that is just needlessly stupid.
Yeah, but I think that's on purpose. Whereas like they did make the NPC summons kind of bad on purpose.
Yeah.
They are helpful. It's definitely easier to fight with an NPC summon than it is to do the boss fight by yourself.
Yeah.
But other like some actual players you can summon, they can just run in and steamroll the boss by themselves easily.
It's like, I mean, I guess one last thing on Dark Souls and Elden Ring summons before we move on, I suppose, is that I think sometimes they still make them too stupid. Like if it's like you can summon help for this boss and that boss does like an AoE attack and the summon just stands in it.
Yeah.
And just stands there the entire time or runs into it, where I'm like, that's just give them a thing to like walk out of the puddle, right?
There are certain boss fights that actually become like actively harder if you have an NPC summon, because they get more health. The bosses get more health if you summon help to fight them. And if your summon isn't doing anything useful, then you just made the boss fight harder.
I mean,
obviously Malenia
I was going to say Malenia is...
the obvious example, because she heals herself when she hits you. So she just walks right through your summon, and then she's back at full health.
But that's another thing. A summon will just stand there and take the entire waterfowl dance to the face. So this is like...
what's she called? Taish?
Tish, yeah. Tish. Black Knight Tish, I think.
Yeah, I think she is like the only NPC summon who is like somewhat useful in that boss fight.
She can stance break her.
yeah. She can stance break her and she can dodge.
Yeah. But I gotta be honest, I suck too much at the game, so even with Tish, I couldn't get very far.
No, I have not soloed Malenia. I will gladly admit that I summoned help to fight her.
Yeah, I summoned someone, not the original Let Me Solo Her, but another person who did the same shtick. So I actually did that like many times, and the two of us, we were just watching them, I just got myself some popcorn and sat there watching other people try. Some of them were not so successful, but eventually, they got it. So yay me. Anyway, that's enough of the Souls.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if Dark Souls summons are companions. I'm not sure.
No, I guess not. But who are companions and who has a companion system that I actually personally really like gameplay wise as well?
Well, BioWare games. Are you talking Mass Effect?
I'm talking Mass Effect. I'm talking Dragon Age. Either works really, and obviously I like the companions in Mass Effect more.
Now it's a question here because there is some, like what you define it as, or like if you have a squad and your squad mates, like they're not followers, like for example Lydia. But I guess they count as companions. Yeah. The difference being that in the Fallout games, you can... I was going to say you can directly control them, but you can't in Mass Effect 1. In Mass Effect 1, you can only give them orders.
Yeah.
In Mass Effect 2 and 3, I think you can actually switch like during combat so that you... Can you control them directly?
I don't remember.
Maybe you can't. Maybe it's the same, that you can just give them orders.
Yeah, you give them orders so you can like semi-control them. And I think and I don't remember in Dragon Age, you can definitely give them orders as well. But I don't think you can control them either.
In Dragon Age, you control the entire party. You can just switch between them to issue commands. Even though you have one person who is like the main character.
Okay. Yeah. But I kind of like that, right? Because that gives your companions as much utility as you want them to have. You can micromanage the whole thing also in Mass Effect. You can stop to give them orders, and I think they did a good job of is like it really plays differently depending on who you bring, right?
Yeah.
It makes a difference if you brought Liara or Rex or Garrus, and
I kind of like also how it changes. It's only flavor. It's only like for lore purposes, but like dialogue options and things can change depending on who you bring to a party.
Yeah.
For example, if you Mass Effect 1, you want to pick Liara up as early as possible so that when you confront her mother, she's actually part of your party. Is it possible for her to not be part of your party when you face her mom?
I don't think so, because it's like a main mission where you pick up Liara.
No, it's just one of the planets.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just one of the planets, and you get to choose which order you do them in.
Oh, I suppose. Then I don't know. And
it's actually a bit on the harder side to go to that planet first.
Hmm.
Is it Noveria? Is that the one? Yeah.
I think so.
There's a boss fight there against like a squad of enemies that are led by like a Krogan or something, and that one can actually be pretty tough if you're low level. But I still always do that one first anyway, because I want Liara on my party like immediately. You can basically save her for last.
Okay, I don't remember. I guess the point is just like she's a companion that you actually have to pick up.
Yeah, somewhere along the way you have to pick her up.
Yeah. So she's not missable, theoretically.
Mass Effect obviously also had the interesting thing of one of your companions has to die. and you have to choose which one.
Yeah, you have to choose between the pest and cholera.
You know what? It's weird because I have seen people flip around on Ashley and be like, "Oh, she got an unfair rap, right? She's not actually as space racist as people make her out to be."
She's not?
And
I remember her being pretty space racist.
Yeah, and I don't think I buy this. I think this is historical revisionism because she is space racist. Like, obviously, it was like, yeah, her dad was in the military, and I think her dad like died in the Turian Wars or something. So yeah, first contact with aliens led to war, and her dad died in that war. So you can see maybe why she might be distrustful against like aliens. Who knows?
But that's like saying someone's dad died in the Vietnam War and that's okay for them to be like racist against Asians? No.
And she basically talks about them as like they're lesser beings, like they're dogs or something. She's pretty goddamn racist in her views. And I think it doesn't help that they sort of like code her as being like sort of this southern gal.
She's also religious, I think.
Yes, so she's also religious. That's true. She also believes in God. She's religious and racist and southern.
Yeah,
But then you have Caden, the other human companion, who is just the wettest blanket.
He is, he's annoying.
He's so boring. And it's almost upsetting that he's like a romance option if you play as female shepherd. Because like, why would anyone experience anything but the driest of dry fields when trying to speak with him? Right? He's got a troubled backstory of being a biotic who they experimented on. And like, I don't give a shit. He's boring.
It's not that they experimented on him. He's got like one of these old implants that give you like migraines or something, I think. But yeah, I brought neither along very much. And for me, Mass Effect 1 has companion options of Rex, Garrus, Liara, and Tali.
I feel like that may have been intentional because I feel like they want you to be really into like these alien races and think this is cool and whatever. So I think on purpose they made the alien characters more interesting than the human characters because they want you to not just pick two other humans as your teammates.
But then they realized their mistake and that they should also make you want to bring along humans. So in Mass Effect 2, they gave Miranda a big butt.
Miranda is, yes, and Yvonne Strahovski as voice actress, and they modeled her in like her image. And obviously, like, yes, very attractive, very charming woman. But then on the male side, you have Jacob, who might be an even wetter blanket than Caden. Also sort of going into these tropes about black people with like absentee fathers and things. Like, why would you do that? Why? Video games. It's like we talked about this last week as well with J.K. Rowling. Why do you do that? You have one black character and they have a deadbeat dad. Why do you always do that? Stop doing that.
Oh boy, I didn't even think about that, but I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Well, to be entirely fair, there's a lot of characters in Mass Effect that have mommy and daddy issues or parental.
Yeah, it's true. Miranda
issues.
Also has daddy issues as part of
daddy
her.
Issues.
Yeah.
Liara has mommy issues.
Yeah, because there are no dads in.
Yeah, that's why I said mommy/daddy issues, kind of, right? There's the Asari in Mass Effect 2, whose name I forget, which is the mother-daughter thing. Where, depending on your choices, one or the other is going to be your companion from then on, right? Samara, exactly. There's...
Does Grunt have daddy issues?
I was gonna go there. I'm like, does
Made in a cloning vat?
Lack of parental unit issues, I guess. Yeah.
Sorta. I guess I see where you're coming from.
Tally with the storyline, with the flotilla.
Yeah, but that's not parents.
I guess not. That's like
She
your
doesn't
elders.
have a parenting. But no, obviously, like the aliens are way more interesting. That being said, I'm not sure if it was their intention for people to like actively hate the human companions the way that some people do, me included. Like I legitimately hate Ashley. Yeah. I think she is such a piece of shit, and I think it's reinforced in the later games as well. Where, and I'm not sure if this is fair or unfair, but like in Mass Effect 2, Shepard comes back from the dead or whatever. And if she's alive, she is like immediately suspicious of you, and like just treats you as someone to be like wary of. And it's such a nice contrast again with the alien characters. Like Garrus meets you again. It's like, cool. Getting the team back together. Yeah, let's go kill stuff together. You and me, cops, going and killing people together.
Yeah.
I know Garrus is a fucking cop. I know. But, and Tally, just happy to see you. Fucking Rex.
I was gonna say, the thing I love about Rex is how he's always so happy to see you.
Greets you with open arms and hugs you and just so happy to see you alive again. It's like, but here people have been like with Ashley that like, well, you have to remember that as far as she knows, you're dead. Like, very dead. Confirmed dead. And you were. You did die, and then they just basically cloned you.
Yeah, okay, but she believes in Jesus, so...
I know.
Anyway.
But yeah, suddenly you show up out of nowhere, and you're working for what humanity has classified as a terrorist organization. So maybe you could understand sort of like why she's like... Are you the real Shepard? And if you are, why are you working with terrorists? I mean, you can see that, but on the other hand, Rex fucking greets you with open arms and hugs you and says he loves you and he kisses you and wants to have your babies. It's like, come on. Why does Ashley have to be this way?
I don't know.
Even Caden is also suspicious of you, but like not... I'm not sure if there's a difference if he's less suspicious of you than Ashley is. I feel like he is... also kind of a dick about it, but not as big of a dick about it.
Ashley has never survived the first game for me, so I wouldn't know. I know that you keep her alive on purpose.
No, don't spoil.
I'm not
I was gonna come to that myself.
Okay.
I also looked it up. There is like when you're in the Citadel, like you have companions who can just drop voice lines in passing or whatever as you walk.
And they do elevator talk.
And there is one thing where Ashley says that she can't tell aliens and animals apart.
I'm gonna assume this is like either the elk or the Hanar that prompts
might be the
this.
Hanar. It might be the Hanar, but still, it's like super not cool, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
But no, in the third game, whoever you kept alive, they can become a party member, but they can also, you can also reject that and be like, you don't want them in your party, in which case they like sort of protect Udina, who's like the corrupt politician who has gotten humanity's seat on the council. And he can be like, just, oh, don't trust him, don't trust Shepard, Shepard's a terrorist, you must protect me, and whatever. And obviously you can like disarm the situation with like good dialogue options. I choose to not to. I choose to fail these prompts on purpose, so that you end up in like an actual standoff. So yes, I kill Kaidan in the first game, because I want both of them to die, because I hate both of them, but I hate Ashley more. So I let Kaidan die in the first game, so that in the third game I can personally put a bullet between the eyes on Ashley Williams, and it feels as good every time that I do it.
I do not do that. I have not done that. So you are more.
As soon as I found out, it's like, oh wait, you can actually kill Ashley yourself in the third game if you let her live in the first one. Hell yeah!
Ugh, no, you are a worse person than me when it comes to this one.
I am not. She deserves it. She actually does, though.
But yeah, the BioWare knows how to make a good companion.
They do. I was going to bring up Mass Effect Andromeda, but Mass Effect Andromeda wasn't done by BioWare. It was also like outsourced to a different studio.
And I haven't played it. I
oh, it's Blandy McBland. It's like, it's bad in the boring way. There are games that are bad in fun ways, and unfortunately Andromeda isn't that. It's just so mediocre. It's got none of the charm of Mass Effect, while still, like, it's draped in the dead husk of Mass Effect, which still has, like, you know, solid gameplay elements. So it's not a trash fire, it's just miserably boring.
Yeah. But something that came up when discussing today's topic earlier, where you weren't quite in agreement with me about whether or not it counted as a companion in the first place, but I super think they do. In which case they might be some of my favorite companions of all time, I suppose, would be Wheatley and GLaDOS.
Wheatley and GLaDOS.
From Portal and
occasionally
in part 2, but
occasionally they pop in and out of the story, but there is a part where GLaDOS ends up in a potato and stuck to your arm.
Yeah, which is just you know, amazing.
Yes,
you put her into a potato, and she doesn't quite care for the experience and finds it somewhat humiliating.
Yeah, no, it's true, but like those games just have good writing, so that's just a case of like they don't enforce the gameplay; they just say funny things.
Yes, but yeah, you kind of use them for things, like I think, if I recall correctly.
But if they count as companions, you know who also counts as a companion in that case?
Yes.
Do you? Do you know where I'm going with this?
Maybe not. Where are you going with this?
Hey! Listen.
Oh, it's Navi?
Navi. If GLaDOS is a companion, then Navi is also a companion, and Navi might even be more hated than Lydia. If we're talking about companions, where it's like unskippable prompts, unskippable dialogue, and like annoying dialogue.
And if you click wrong, you have to read the entire thing again.
Yeah.
Also, I work with a woman whose name is Navi.
Oh.
And I still, to this day, after years, sort of hear, "Hey, listen," in my head.
But technically she has a gameplay function in that she is that game's lock-on system. That's the lock-on that Navi is. You send out Navi to fly around the enemy.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I don't recall that.
Navi is the lock-on function.
Yeah, but does the lock-on have to talk so much?
I know. No, she talks so much all the time.
Yeah, I suppose that is a very annoying companion in that case.
Is Luigi a companion?
I never played, I have such a hard time, same thing with Yoshi, right? Answering this because I didn't play the very old Super Mario games.
I mean, in the oldest ones, he was just player 2. If you played the 2-player. So it's just like a recoloring of the sprite.
And I guess that's the same goes then for Tails.
No, because Tails actually plays differently from Sonic.
Oh, okay.
Tails can fly.
So Luigi is just the same as Mario.
In the very first Mario game, yes, it's just a reskin. In the second Mario game, Mario Brothers 2, then you have 4 playable characters. You can play as Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad, and all 4 of them play differently. Whereas like Luigi is slower, but he can jump higher. You know, those sorts of things. Which is kind of weird. I mean, you can complete the game with all 4 characters. It's more a case of like, which one do you prefer gameplay-wise?
Okay.
Just have a bit of different feeling to them.
But then, I don't know. If it's just, you're not doing it together, it's just you're either or, then it's not really a companion. I guess lore-wise, theoretically, you would be a companion as Mario's brother, but if you're not playing them at the same time.
Yeah, now which you aren't.
Yeah, so I guess in that case.
I guess the only, like, one of the Mario Kart games where you play like a 2-person thing where one of the person sits in the back, like manning the guns. Isn't that a Mario Kart game? Where you can be like 2 people on the same kart?
I don't know.
I think that's a thing in a Mario game, or a kart game.
Okay, it might be. I've not encountered that, to be honest. I'm trying to think, do you have like companions? I mean, I guess the way that Kirby in the last Kirby game that we played, what was it called?
Kirby
Star Allies.
Star Allies.
I like that because it's like you can be player 2 or you can be have a companion and they just follow you around.
Yes.
And you have to eat them first in order to make someone an ally. You know, you have to befriend someone by eating them.
Or you threw a hypnotizing star at them.
Oh no, that's right. You don't eat them. You throw a love bomb at them.
Yes, a love bomb. But there you go.
You love bomb them, and then they're just like, I guess I follow you now. I do like them though.
I mean, they're cute.
Well, I just like that they don't have to be useful because Kirby by itself is so powerful, so that when I was one of them, I could just do whatever. Itself.
Well, I'm not sure if Kirby is a he or a she.
Yeah, I guess it.
Kirby is a boy's name, though.
Is it?
Yeah.
Kirby is a vacuum cleaner's name.
Which is appropriate.
Yes. But I didn't think that vacuum cleaners are boys. Well, I guess in German, technically, the word for them is der. So that makes them male. Either way, I enjoyed the way that they had the gameplay. Of course, none of these Kirby sidekicks have, story, so they're not so much.
Well, they do in previous games, whereas Meta Knight is a previous character, Marx is like one of the bosses, I think, in one of the previous games as well. So they do have story. This Kirby Star Allies was just like, we're bringing back every Kirby character from the past. Everyone is in this game.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that it was the only Kirby game I ever played. So I might be off on that one. And
There is one game which it's unfortunate that you haven't played it, because it might be like one of the most famous sort of like companions in all video games, and like companion-based gameplay, being The Last of Us.
I have not played The Last of Us.
You have not played The Last of Us with Joel and Ellie, where like it weaves into each other, where it sort of has...
play as Joel?
Yes, and Ellie.
Okay.
There are parts of the game where you play as Ellie. Most of the time you play as Joel, but there's also parts of the game where you play as Ellie.
Kind of like in Final Fantasy then. 7.
Final Fantasy 7 has a section where Cloud goes crazy and he's not in the party, but it's interesting because it sort of also has an evolved gameplay, because it's a game that takes place over a relatively long span of time. So, you know, as you progress in the story, you unlock sort of like new gameplay mechanics based on just characters learning new things, which is sort of similar to how God of War did it with like Atreyu. They have elements of that in The Last of Us as well, where it's also reinforced in the story beats, where it's like just the story itself makes you care about this companion and like you want to protect her. I think that's an interesting thing that like more games, I guess, should try to weave into the gameplay elements of it. Of in Skyrim, for example, you know, you just get stuck with a companion or whatever, and it's optional, or but they don't have any real like, you know, significance to the story. Whereas in The Last of Us, the entire story of the game is built on the relationship between Ellie and Joel, where he takes her on and as like he becomes a father figure for her, and just, you know, tries to protect her, and the entire story is just about them. I'm trying not to spoil it.
Trying to survive?
I can't. You know what? I don't think you're gonna play the games at this point because they're so long ago. You might, because there is also the Netflix series that we still haven't seen, which I've heard do good justice to the story, and it's got Pedro Pascal in it as well. So obviously it has to be good.
I was thinking about playing it sometime, especially now we have the PlayStation 5. It's just, you know, having a baby has put a bit of a dampener in all of that. But
is it your type of game?
I don't know.
Zombie survival horror?
Maybe not.
I mean, we all remember what it was like for you to go through Dead Space.
I was going to say, is the gameplay Dead Space like? Are you supposed to be scared?
Yes. It's a zombie game.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's a zombie stealth, limited resources survival horror.
Oh, that sounds stressful. Maybe I'm not gonna play it then.
I was like, you are not gonna play The Last of Us.
You kept being so no spoilers about it that I didn't even know how it plays. So I don't know.
Oh man, but.
All right, then
we have the Netflix series, okay?
Spoilers incoming, I suppose.
Oh, really?
I thought you were gonna spoiler something.
Well, I also thought like for the viewers.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said spoiler warning. You were gonna say something spoilery.
But why would I spoil it if we're gonna watch the Netflix series?
Oh, okay. So no spoilers.
No spoilers.
Wow, what a pointless conversation.
I was trying to
I'm sorry.
I have been trying to switch subjects for so long, and you keep on being like, no.
It's just I didn't. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. This is on me. Okay, so I was a bit slow on the uptick on that one. Apologies.
No, it's fine. Switching subjects. You know what? I think like a big dividing line for like just what makes a companion like good or enjoyable to have around. Obviously, you have the things with, for example, Atreyu, where it's like just potent and strong and can like affect the gameplay.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
Isn't Atreyu the character from the Neverending Story, and this is Atreus?
Well, it's one or the other.
I think it's Atreus.
You're right. It's Atreus in God of War and Atreyu in the Neverending Story. You're right. You're right.
This has been bothering me for a while.
Oh my God,
so
sorry.
when you brought it up again, now I was like, I can't contain it. Okay, sorry. Yes.
Oh my God, the comment section has already been on my case for this. I can imagine. No, but he's like, you know, potent and actually strong and good. But there's also, but you have to input commands, right, to tell him to actively do things. In Mass Effect, you have your teammates and they will act autonomously even if you don't tell them to do anything, but you can also give them commands if you have things that you think they should be doing. One game that's kind of cool in this regard is Nier Automata. Because in Nier Automata, your companion is completely autonomous. You, like, when you play the game as 2B, you do not issue any commands to 9S. He just acts by himself. Same as if you play as 9S, 2B acts by herself.
And it doesn't blow up her skirt for you?
Well, I mean, you can get her to do that if you want to.
Even when you're playing 9S?
Yeah, you can still do the... Oh yeah, if you do the self-destruct thing, both of them lose their pants. So 9S just runs around with like boxer shorts.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he doesn't wear tighty whitey, so it's not as noticeable. And he wears shorts anyway, even if he has pants.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought he was just in shorts anyway.
Yeah,
he just kind of has these little boy aesthetic.
Yeah, but if you blow up his pants, he just walks around with like boxers, I think. But not like butt just swiggling around in the wind like 2B does. Which is probably good choice stylistically because he's modeled as being like an underage character. So let's not make a big deal out of a boy butt, right?
Yeah, no. I think neither of them should be walking around naked, but
I think you just made an enemy of the comment section here.
I know.
I was when Xeno Gallion was streaming Nier Automata, I was in his comment section. I told him how to do the butt explosion, so that you remove her skirt, and then I was like, I forced him to like do the entire stream with her like that, and he was like noticeably uncomfortable by the whole thing.
He had a choice to not do it. He does not have to listen to you. I didn't. You were like, you can do this, and I was just like, okay. And then I didn't do it because he put
her skirt back in future streams, which I think is a sign of weakness. No, but I was gonna... You know what's really cool about Nier Automata? And this is, again, I don't know like how to talk about this without spoiling it. But...
is there spoilers for a game this old at this point necessary?
This old? How old is Nier Automata at this point?
It's like 8 years?
What? No.
It came out fairly towards the start of our relationship. It's like 7 years, maybe?
You are a dirty liar. I'm gonna have to look this up. 2017, 6 years. Ugh.
Okay, I wasn't that far off.
Oh man, that's older than I thought it would be. God damn. No. Okay, I'm gonna try to talk about this without spoiling it. Okay. When you play the game, 9S, your companion, he's a hacker. Okay? Mm-hmm. So you are the combat type and he is the hacker type. So you are just walking around and smacking things with your sword, and in the background, 9S is doing his hacking stuff. And you're not really sure like what's going on, but like, okay, fine, he's the hacker. And then when you play as 9S in the second playthrough, you get those hacking powers. You can hack enemies, you can go inside their brains, and you can like do whatever on them.
I hated those sections.
Yeah.
Gameplay wise, to be fair.
But they do the coolest thing possible in the very final encounter of the entire game. The final the final boss fight, so to speak. And I think at this point I can't actually talk about this anymore without spoiling it. But here you have a companion mechanic that has existed in the background the entire game that you haven't really paid all that much attention to, and you get this huge payoff for it at the very end, where sort of like it all makes sense in a way. It's like, it's one of my best examples of storytelling through like actual gameplay elements that people should just go play Nier Automata. It's just a masterpiece of a game in so many ways.
I think the thing that might demotivate people from playing Nier Automata these days is that you just know that the story continues in like 20 different media. And
because Yoko Taro decides to put canon events for Nier Automata in expansions for the MMO Final Fantasy XIV.
For example, that
and screenplay.
There was like a theatrical piece, a screenplay. There is,
but you can ignore all of that. You can ignore all of that. You just play Nier Automata. Just play the game. You can ignore all of the other media. It doesn't matter. Just play the Nier Automata, the game, as a standalone thing.
It's a pretty good game, so I will.
It's a pretty good game. You are wrong. It's not a pretty good game. It's also got like one of the best soundtracks of any video game ever.
It does. I don't like it as much as you, the game. I mean, because number one, I don't care about the bots. Number two, I did not care about the hacking sections, or I did not care for the hacking sections. So the game frustrated me by suddenly becoming a different game.
Well, I guess we have to say this as a disclaimer, because like you play the game and then you reach the end of the game and then the game says, actually, that was not the end of the game. Play the game again, but from the perspective of a different character. And this is a place where like a lot of people stop playing because they think it's just play the game again from the perspective of a different character. And this is where I have to tell you, no, that's not the end. Play the game again from the perspective of a different character. And after you've done that, the story continues. It's not the end of the game. The story continues. So you do have to play through the game like 3 or 4 times or whatever, but like, just trust me when I tell you, there's more.
Yeah.
So with that in mind,
go play it.
Go play it. And it's an excellent example of like just companions being done right and taking that concept to a new level by introducing like new sorts of ways of thinking about how you can have a companion in video games to sort of enhance the experience. I hear our baby waking up.
Yeah, so kind of meta end to this episode, but it's been about the correct amount of time that we've discussed the subject, and we have a real life reason to stop recording, so we will see you next week.
For you see, we just got a companion.
Yes, our companion just leveled up.
Yeah.